Welcome to Martha Runs the World, a podcast with a new take on running, fitness, and all things health-oriented. I'm Martha Hughes, your host, and each week I present a new topic that is of interest to all runners. Hi, and welcome to episode 335 of Martha Runs the World. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I truly appreciate it. This week is a very special episode for me. I feel alive. I feel really, really alive. And part of that is what I'm going to talk about this week and why. And I'll tell you all about that. My sober anniversary is the birthday of my rebirth. So I always treat it like a birthday. It's my 20th birthday. When another person tells me it's the day of their sober anniversary, I always wish them happy birthday because it really is a second birthday. It's a rebirth, so it is their birthday. We are reborn through sobriety. It is such a joyous occasion and one we in sobriety should take as seriously as we can because it's the most important time of our life. It's the most important day of our life. For without it, everything else to us is meaningless. I know for myself, I couldn't live the life I have without being sober. In fact, the truth is I'd probably be dead. That's the bottom line. That's it. Without sobriety, I wouldn't be here. So once a year, I open up on the show and reveal a little more about me than I do in other episodes. And I talk about what sobriety in running means to me. Wow, 20 years. Sometimes it seems so long ago. I can't even remember a lot of things. Well, I didn't remember things when they happened anyway, so what's the difference? And then other times, I can almost taste that glass is in as if it was right in front of me right now. Hey, not all of us drunks drank crappy booze. I liked the expensive stuff. So that's probably why I was always broke. I was drinking expensive alcohol. Getting and staying sober was and is still the most important thing I've ever done in my life. Everything else is not a comparison. That is the biggest thing in my life. I couldn't do what I'm doing today if I hadn't gotten sober. And as I said, I probably wouldn't be alive without it. Sobriety doesn't make everything better, but it makes us able to handle things when they aren't great. Some of us ran away from things. Some of us didn't have the capability to handle tough times, so we hid through alcohol, drugs, gambling, whatever you were addicted to, whatever we're addicted to, that's what we hid from the tough times in. Now, instead of falling apart and turning towards a drink or 20 drinks, I can figure out a way to solve my problems with strength and self-assuredness that I never had before. And when I was drunk, I always ran away from problems. There's always something better to do. At least I thought it was better anyway. There's always a place I could hide from reality because reality wasn't so pretty and wasn't so nice. So I never wanted to face up to it. I wanted to hide and run in a drink or 20, as I said. I always hid or ran away. Always, always, always. And every year in this episode of my rebirth, I like to address what sobriety means to me in running. I take a theme and I talk about it. I didn't start running because I found sobriety. I truly admire those who do. I think that's a wonderful way to discover running. Those people who drank and then drank and then they found that they could get healthy by walking and then running. I love that about them. I think that's amazing. But that was not me. I ran while I was still a drinker. As a matter of fact, I ran drunk. I drank before I ran, I drank during my running, and I drank after I ran. So, yeah, that was me. In the '80s, I used to do runs sponsored by the Hash Hound Harrier Club in San Francisco, and that fit quite nicely into my drinking. So if you are interested and you're not an alcoholic, you can look them up. I'm sure they're still around. They're always around. They say they are a, drinking club that has a running problem, is what they say. They drink a lot, and I do mean a lot. But me becoming sober isn't just about quitting alcohol. It's about me getting to the root of why I drank in the first place. So, I didn't wanna transfer when I got sober, I dealt with being sober, and I got through that, and then in the following years, trying to figure out working the steps and working with my sponsor. Well, I only had a sponsor for a year, and then she moved out of the area, but after that, I worked myself with the steps and figuring out why I drank, and I didn't wanna transfer that reliance on alcohol. I didn't wanna transfer it to something else, and I'm still working on that. It's hard when you have a personality that is prone to addictions or reliance on things. It's hard to not start being reliant on something else. I'm still working on it. I'm not a perfect person. I don't have perfection, but I'm still working on not transferring it to other things like food. That's really hard. But I haven't drank in 20 years, so that's not a bad thing. And I was a binge drinker, so yeah, that's how I handle it. And I have done a couple binge eating, especially after long runs, and that's not a good thing, but I'm working on it. No one who is truly happy abuses alcohol or drugs or something else. No one who is really satisfied with their lives wants to escape life. Those kids who are happy in childhood, truly happy, are the ones who excel in classes or maybe sports, and they really love it. And I don't mean just to please their parents. Those kids aren't happy. I did that when I was a kid, and that's not happiness. Outside, they may look happy outside, but inside, they're in a lot of pain. Trust me on that. But the kids who are truly, truly happy from the inside out, they are the ones who are going to have lot healthier lives than the ones who are just doing it just to go through the motions. Each person who drinking themselves into oblivion, doing drugs, eating too much, starving themselves, gambling, you name it, are doing it to escape a reality that is too painful to face. Mine was deep and complicated and comes from always being told I wasn't good enough, I didn't work hard enough, I was never complimented. But I'm not getting into my background this week. This just gives you a bit of background as to why I chose to escape into a wine glass or a beer bottle or a martini glass or whatever it was. So when I decided to get sober, I wanted to get over running away from reality completely. For the most part, I've done this. Once in a while, I do find myself going back to old habits of eating too much chocolate or binge watching a streaming show or that kind of thing. But for the most part, I've done pretty good. I have a good positive attitude towards myself. I have self-assuredness. I'm okay. I'm doing all right. It's nothing like nearly losing everything, is it? No, it really isn't. And I have lost or nearly lost everything. Didn't quite go that far, but I nearly did. And this is the part of what I want to talk about this week. I'm not offended by much. It doesn't offend me when I hear other runners say or write that they're addicted to running, but I do question their use of that phrase. Now, I know the phrase is used rather tongue-in-cheek, that they don't really mean it, but the word addiction does mean so much to many of us. I'm not trying to disparage anyone from using that word, I'm just sharing another point of view, so for you to look at it from another perspective. As I said, I'm not offended with anyone who chooses to say they're addicted to running. I'm not saying, don't use that word. Don't you dare use that word. It offends me. I'm not the kind of person. I'm not the woke police who's going to come out and say, don't you do that. Don't you say that. It offends me. No, that's not me. But when I hear someone say that, I think of not very happy things. I think of scraping up what money I can, if I had any, or overcharging a credit card to buy booze, waking up with a hangover. I do not miss hangovers, let me tell you. And at the last part of my drinking, I had hangovers for 2 days. And dealing with the fallout of a drunken binge from the night before, I think of all the friends I lost over the years and all the times I gave up on dreams I had while I was drinking because I didn't think I was good enough. So that all that comes up when I think of addictions. I was not physically addicted to booze, but I was emotionally and mentally tied to it. I was tied to binging. I didn't drink every day, but when I did drink, I didn't know if I would have 1 or 20 drinks. It was a crapshoot. It was a spin the wheel and see what Martha's gonna do. Not a fun time. There's so much baggage that comes to that phrase for me, and I'm sure I'm not alone in this. Anyone who's truly struggled and suffered with addiction may have an opinion about the use of that word in other situations, and maybe it doesn't bother anyone if they hear it. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe I'm the only one. I don't know. Like I said, it doesn't offend me, but it's just another point of view. Then I ask myself, if this person really has an addiction to running, is that a good thing? I don't think that's a good thing, is it? Sure, it's a healthier addiction than drinking or drugs, but addictions are never good. I mean, overtraining, overexercising in general is not good at all. Overexercising is very unhealthy, and I've done a whole episode on overtraining that I will put a link to on the show website, martharunstheworld.com, and you can take a listen to it after this one. So if you find yourself almost like a compulsion that you have to run, that, oh my God, I have to run, I can't stand not running, you might be in trouble. And it might be something you want to rethink because that's not a healthy way to look at running. If someone is in recovery and is now running, are they replacing one addiction with another? Yes, it's a healthier addiction, but I don't know if anyone who was an addict and now is in recovery and is now running and is looking at it the same way. I don't know if they're dealt properly with their problems with addiction and why they became addicts in the first place. I don't know if they've done the hard work of healing from addictions or from what caused their addictions. So that's something to consider. There's so much into it, and there's so much that goes into healing from addictions that I question that. Granted, running is a healthier addiction. It's healthier than smoking, shall we say. It's healthier than overeating, obviously, but it's still not a healthy way to live. That's the problem with the use of the word addiction. You can be in love with running. Being in love isn't always bad, is it? I'm just kidding, of course. Yeah, I am. But addictions are always bad. There's never an exception to that rule. Overdoing something is never good. And like I said, I'll put a link to the overtraining episode. But here are some signs to see if you are addicted to running. And you might just say you are just because it's just kind of a cool thing you think to say it is. It's never cool to say, let's just put it that way. But here are some signs to see if you are addicted to running. Increased intensity or duration. You consistently push yourself to run longer or harder, even when it causes injury or fatigue. And you may feel that part of you is hurting, that you may have an injury coming on, and you still push it. Or you're tired all the time and you still want to go out and run. Mood dependence, relying on running to improve mood or manage emotion, even if it disrupts other aspects of your life, you still go out and run. That's a really, really huge thing. That is, you can't be happy until you go run. And then all of a sudden you're happy and yay, you're up. So that's almost like a drug. You're waiting to get your drink or your shot. You're almost like a junkie, right? Neglecting other aspects of life, you're prioritizing running over work, relationships, or other important activities. Huge, huge, huge red flag here. Physical withdrawal symptoms, experiencing physical discomfort, anxiety, or depression when unable to run. Big, big red flags here. Just pay attention. If these are signs that you have, you really have to take heed. Compulsive behavior. Feeling an urge to run even when injured or fatigued, or experiencing guilt for missing a run. You should never feel guilt for missing a run. We all miss runs. It's fine. You shouldn't feel guilty. Really, you shouldn't. If you suspect you might be addicted to running, it's crucial to seek help. Consider keeping a diary of your workouts, setting realistic goals to gradually reduce your miles, and talking to trusted friend or therapist. If these steps are insufficient, professional mental health services can provide support and guidance. And here's some important considerations. Balance. Seek balance in your life. Incorporate a variety of activities. So don't just run. You might do some strength training or yoga or things like that, even meditation. Self-care. Prioritize rest, nutrition, and other activities to contribute to overall well-being. Rest is really important. And like I said, seek guidance from a medical professional, a therapist, if you're struggling with exercise addiction. And it can turn into an addiction. So let's not take it as lightly as we think, because it can be a problem. And if you are having a problem, there is help. And I'll put a couple links on the website, martharunstheworld.com, if you are having a problem. So if you casually throw the word around addiction and you're not really addicted to it, you might be doing a disservice for those who really are, because it can be an addiction just like anything else. A lot of people who suffer from eating disorders also have an exercise addiction. They find that if they don't eat and exercise, they can lose tons of weight, right? Yeah, that's right. Don't eat and then go run. So all those people, quote unquote, fasting, i.e. starving themselves, might be prone to exercise addiction. Just be careful about that. Just be careful and make sure that you're eating enough to support your exercise and not exercising too much, because they go hand in hand. Consider, if you're just casually throwing the word addiction around, consider truly what you're saying. And consider those who have addictions, because you're comparing your running with those who truly have problems. Is that what you're trying to tell us, that you have a problem? I'm just asking. Just asking the big questions here. I do not shy away from problems on this podcast. A lot of running podcasts are all about the happy, fun things. And yes, I do happy, fun things too, but I also do things where there are issues, where there are things we do have to talk about, serious things. And sobriety and addictions and things like that are huge problems that we really need to face. And we need to face it as a community, as a running community. We need to face it together. And I think that's truly important, that we stand together and help each other out. And I'm glad I did talk to you about that. I think that's really, really important. One of the goals in my life is to live as healthful a life as I can, and to shed all the dependency I have on unhealthy food and bad habits. Now, I know I'm not going to do it 100%. I'm not a perfect being. Boy, I'm as imperfect as they come. So I'm going to do it as well as I can. I'm going to continue to improve in life and keep learning. So that is my goal, is to continue to improve and keep learning. As I approach retirement, things in my life are changing. I'm putting a hold on races. I just had my big race this past weekend and my trip, so I will tell you all about it next week. I have to save up enough money for retirement in a couple of years, so no more trips out of town, no more races for a while. I will do some self-supported big runs around San Francisco, around the Bay Area that I don't have to go out of town for, or at least not far anyway. I don't have to rent a car. Renting a car is the expensive part. I don't mind like staying in a hotel 1 or 2 nights. If I can take a train or a bus there, that's fine. But renting a car is super, super expensive. Now my focus though will have to be on my retiring in a couple of years. I am planning on moving out of the Bay Area in a couple of years as well. I need to go to a cheaper area for retirement. I do plan on finding a part-time job in that area. So that is something that I have to focus on. I am staying in the Western US and being close to mountains. Those are my 2 priorities. I'm also not big on the desert area like Arizona, so I'd rather not live there. I'm thinking of moving either to Northern California like Redding, Northern Nevada like Reno, or Idaho, Western Colorado, or Wyoming. Those are my big places I'm thinking about moving to. But I have time to figure all this out, and we'll talk more about this in future episodes and more about my running. As I have said previously, I am going to do some self-supported runs, not races, because I'm not racing anyone, but runs. I want to do a 50K run around San Francisco and go to some sites and do that. I'm thinking about doing a run like from San Rafael home. That would be about 25 miles, I think. And maybe I want to do a 50K up from the peninsula, like San Carlos to Redwood City, up to San Francisco home. I might do that. I'm thinking about that. So think about that in the future. I'm doing these kind of things that won't cost a ton of money, but will be interesting and fun and be longer distances. I might do something else, I don't know, but something, like I said, in the Bay Area. It will have to be close to home. So that is what my plans are for the upcoming probably year, and I'll talk about more what's going on next year in future episodes. And that is it. And everything is on the website, martharunstheworld.com. If you want to email me, it's martharunstheworld@gmail.com. And on that note, let's tie up our shoelaces and go for a run.